Let's see, we see the third season of the Squid Games where Gi-hun returns to the games after being defeated in battle, and this time he is more furious than ever. So in case you didn't watch it or left it halfway, I tell you the Squid Game Season 3. Chapter 1. Season 3 begins with the masked man recording all those eliminated during the battle, and we see that number 11, who we will remember is there, looking for the sister who participated in Season 1, did not completely eliminate the sick girl's father. We see that the masked people involved in the parts sale find out that he is still alive, so they take him to the OR, but quickly number 11 gets involved and eliminates everyone except the doctor, who is ordered to save said player. For his part, the investigator brother of the Black Mask realizes that someone from his team has disappeared, but we see that he does not suspect the captain, who instead calls the Black Mask to report the situation, and he responds to eliminate everyone on board, including the brother. Meanwhile, Gi-hun wakes up in the room with the other players and remembers having lost the battle and his best friend, so he goes into chaos and the guards are forced to tie him up. The guards then begin voting to see if the players wish to continue the games, and because the group that wished to leave took several casualties during the battle, we see that those who wish to stay end up being the majority. The masked men feed them to prepare for the next games, and while they eat, we see several blame the ex-marine for cowering and not taking his ammunition, including Gi-hun, who keeps looking at him with anger. So the next game starts being this one, hide and seek, and the players are divided into two groups, and they are told that to win the blue group will hide and must survive, while the red team must find them and eliminate each one, at least one. We see that the blue team is first taken to the game place to hide, but first they are given some keys to some rooms where they can hide, or also they can open a special door that leads to the exit, and it is a definitive pass to save yourself, although it is very hidden. Chapter 2. The red team enters the game room that looks like a maze, and they are given a gun, so they look for the blue team, who use their keys to open doors and manage to mislead the red team. We see the red team influencer ally with the late Thanos' friend at first. I only eliminate one each, but then they continue to eliminate more so that the final game reward is greater. For her part, the pregnant woman, the old woman, and the trans girl team up to hide together until suddenly the pregnant woman begins her labor, so they are stuck until she gives birth to a girl, although right after they are found by one of the red team. We see that the trans girl faces said player by taking him to another place to get him away from them and manages to defeat him, and she also sees the door that leads to the exit, and although she is tempted to escape alone, she ends up returning with the others to warn them. Right at this moment, the influencer arrives and eliminates the trans girl from behind, only to realize that he did it in front of the pregnant woman and her newborn son, so without knowing what to do, he just leaves from there. While Giona desperately searches for Alex Marine, and after finding him, they both argue about who was to blame for their friends being eliminated. The former sailor says Gi-hun was to blame for taking them to a battle they couldn't win, while Gi-hun says the former sailor is to blame for cowering and leaving them alone, and after fighting, we see Gi-hun from the red team ends up eliminating the former sailor from the blue team, thus winning the games. For their part, the old woman and the pregnant woman managed to find the door that the trans girl had told them about, but just before crossing they are reached by the son of the old woman from the red team, who has not yet managed to eliminate anyone, and time is about to run out. The old woman tells them to eliminate her, but we see that the son chooses to attack the pregnant woman better, and we see that the old woman stops him by attacking him with the gun she was carrying in her hair and finishes him off. Chapter 3. The guards clean up the place from the last games, and we see that some of those guards are members of the VIPs who want to live the experience closer, just like the old man from Season 1. On the other hand, guard number 11 gives the injured judge a guard suit and then threatens the superior who was leading the parts business to help them escape that island in a boat during the next games. Meanwhile, one of Gi-hun's friends, who is helping the investigator, is distrustful of the captain, so he separates from the group to investigate the captain's house and discovers his friendship with those from the games. But before notifying the investigator, he is arrested by the police. For his part, the investigator begins to take his precautions with the captain due to the previous friend's suspicions, until suddenly the entire crew finds the island where he shot the investigator before in Black Mask. On the other hand, the players start with the new vote, and we see that the old lady tries to convince him to quit the games by assuring that she will give him her share of the money, but still the majority vote to continue. And then during the night, the old woman talks to Gi-hun and tells her what she had to do to her own son, so she asks him not to give up and get them all out of there, but seeing that Gi-hun ignores her, she ends up eliminating herself the next morning. So, the next game starts called Jumping Rope, and we see that players will have to cross a bridge very far from the edge to the other side while jumping a metal rope that can throw them into the void before time runs out. We see that a player uses Thanos' cross with the substances to make Thanos' friend be the first to try to retrieve it, but we see that he only gets to the middle since he sees that the cross no longer has substances, and due to the distractions, he ends up being eliminated. Then the guards tell the pregnant woman that she must cross with her baby too, or they will both be eliminated, so Jana, feeling guilty for not listening to the old lady, he decides to help her and crosses the bridge with the baby in his arms. Then, just as he was going to return for the pregnant woman, Jian sees how another player also managed to cross and stayed at the goal only to launch all those who are about to arrive. Also Chapter 4. The player knocks down several at the finish line until John confronts him and after eliminating him helps several pass, including the influencer, who upon seeing the pregnant woman with an injured ankle decided to leave her behind. Then, when everyone else manages to pass, Gi-hun tries to cross again to go for the pregnant woman, but we see that she asks him from the other side not to do it, to instead take care of her baby and then throw herself into the void. So the baby is assigned her late mother's number of players, and after telling the other remaining players, they get angry since they will have to share the money with her and they will get less than they thought. The players think about how to eliminate her but are stopped by the guards who take them to eat, and we see the final 9 players eat, and while they do, they are told a preview of what the next games will be. They explain that in the next games they will have to eliminate a minimum of 3 people and that they will have the freedom to choose who they will be, so confident the majority vote to continue with the games being Zono-hyun and other guys who voted no. Meanwhile, the friend who was arrested gets the Singenia to get his phone and calls the investigator to tell him everything, just before the captain begins to eliminate the entire crew. We see that thanks to this, the investigator gets to safety and in a distraction eliminates the captain, although he later observes that only he and another one are left on board, and therefore, even though he already knows where the island of the games is, it will be difficult for him to follow the plan. For his part, Who is brought before the Black Mask, who hands him a weapon and tells him to use it to eliminate everyone else while they sleep, since if he doesn't, they will vote the next day to eliminate him and the baby. Jan asks him why he is helping him, to what the Black Mask reveals to be who was with him in the early games, so a furious Jan raises his weapons to hurt him, but the Black Mask stops him, saying that if he eliminates him, another will take his place and his situation will change him. Chapter 5. Ian returns to the room with the players and for a moment almost eliminates the others, as advised by Black Mask, but we see that he repents, and at this point we see that there is Black Mask. Remember that when he won the games, he was given the same opportunity and he did eliminate them. For his part, guard number 11, who left on the boat with the injured player, returns to the games because he realized that his superior knows about the girl they both want to help and could put her in danger, so he tries to erase her records in the database. However, along the way, he meets the superior and they both fight, number 11 being the winner, while for his part, the injured player continues on the boat until he runs into the investigator and his companion. On the other hand, the players are taken to the next and last game, called the Squid Game in 3 phases, where we see that there are 3 platforms with figures, and they are told that on each platform they must throw at least one person into the void. Then on the first platform, all the players except Gi-hun vote to eliminate another player who looked distant and traumatized by the situation. And for that, they use a tube that was on the platform to push it. Then they go to the next platform where everyone votes to eliminate the baby, but seeing that Gi-hun does not want to let her go and that both are eliminated, they must eliminate one of them in the next one. They think about how to separate them. We see that they try to trick Gianna into letting her go, but he resists. So a fight begins, and we see that the influencer takes advantage of this to push another into the void and tells Jan that he is on his side, since in reality, he is the father of the baby. Since the time to move on to the next platform has not yet ended, we see that everyone takes the opportunity to discuss who they will shoot in the next one, but seeing that they can no longer go against Gi-hun since the influencer is on their side, the other 4 decide to sacrifice one of their own by beating him up. The other 3 then tell Gi-hun and the influencer to use the hit as a sacrifice in the next round, but Gi-hun responds that they should better decide by lottery. But not counting the baby, which causes another discussion, and after fighting, Jan ends up with one, while the influencer throws another. Then it's just Jan, the baby, the influencer, and the hit guy. And just as time runs out and they make way for the next platform, we see that the beaten man approaches the shore of his own free will and tells them that he will not allow them to be used as a sacrifice and then throw himself away. Chapter 6. The researcher helps the injured player and he guides them to the game place, while on the other hand, the influencer crosses towards the next platform and prevents Jin from passing, and then orders him to hand her over to the baby. Jan tells him to let it go and he will let him throw it in the next round, since otherwise the influencer will have to throw his daughter. But we see that the influencer ignores it since he doesn't care anything in order to win. Then Gi-hun manages to cross like the baby and is already on the other side. He and the influencer begin to fight until Gianna manages to knock him down and throw him into the void, though she later realizes that she threw him before the round began. Because of this, when the next round begins, Gi-hun is forced to decide between throwing the baby or throwing himself, and we see that he makes this last decision, and after saying that they should not treat people like toys, he launches leaving the baby as the winner of the game. Then the Black Mask ends the games and begins the protocol of evacuation and self-destruction of the place, and then goes for the winning baby. So when the investigator and his reinforcements arrive at the place, they only see how an explosion destroys all the evidence. 6 months pass, and we see how guard number 11 managed to come back alive after erasing the records and meets the father and girl who is now fully recovered, and right after guard number 11 gets a call that his own daughter, who he thought lost, may be alive in another country. We also see that Sae-pyeok's mother, a player from the first season, manages to arrive safely in Korea and meet Sae-pyeok's brother, while on his side, one day the investigator finds the winning BP of the games in his house and with the card of the money won. We then see that Black Mask goes to see Jan's daughter to give her the news about her father's death, and then gives her a box with the uniform he wore in the games and the card with the money he won for playing. Finally, we see the Black Mask traveling in his car and seeing as far away. There are still people who agree to play the game of flipping a paper and getting slapped if they don't succeed. This was the recap of the Squid Game Season 3 and finale. If you liked the video, please leave a like and comment that you are well. See you later.